Hello, everyone. Today is Tuesday, September 23rd. This is day two of week 25 of Hotel Evening and Weekend Platoon. And this is, I believe, the second week of group projects. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a small class. It's just one group project. Is that correct?
Yep.
Alrighty. Anybody want to just give me the quick synopsis of what you guys chose? I've been MIA for a little bit.
Sorry, I'm eating in the background. We're building a trip planner app to help with like vacation travel, not necessarily bookings, but helping just to organize um everything that you want to do while you're on the vacation or before while you're planning the vacation.
You know, a good one of those doesn't exist yet. Is everyone aware of that?
I think it was Nicole's idea, and that's partially why. I think it was Nicole's, right? Next.
Yeah.
I'm a bit surprised. There's been several people that have had that idea, but like a mainstream app like that people are aware of and makes money, that doesn't exist, as far as I know.
Hmm.
I think it exists in a lot of like personal projects, right? But one that is mainstream doesn't exist, as far as I'm aware of. That's interesting, right?
Time to get rich, guys.
It's a great idea. Okay, what APIs are you guys using?
Right now, Google Calendar and the Google Places API. Those are the
Okay.
two that we're starting with.
What else?
As far as APIs,
Yep.
those are the only two that we've like solidly made a decision on. But also there's some other ones that help with booking. I think like Yelp has a decent one. I don't remember what the limits are. We did like we have like a list of like potential options there, but we haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay, you have calendar, important. You have location, important. You have possible booking, somewhat important. What are you missing? You're missing a really important one.
Place.
What do you mean?
Is there API of locations?
Are you just talking about Google Maps, bro?
Oh
Hello?
shoot, I completely missed that.
You have a trip planning app. You're missing at the very least one crucial endpoint, probably more than one, depending on how good it is. What are we missing here?
Maybe something to do with travel as far as like a plane or train car
Yeah,
rental.
yeah, you could do something like that, but that's more of a nice to have. You could incorporate that, but that's more towards the end if you even have time.
Um,
What are you going to do on this trip?
oh, the events. I was looking like
That
at was it Everbright or something like that, or like maybe even Ticketmaster or something.
that's what you
But
need. You need
yeah,
some kind of events API or a hodgepodge of events APIs or some kind of web scraping that pulls up relevant APIs based on zip or city or something. Does that make sense?
yeah,
That's a crucial piece to this application. Without that, you don't have a lot. Does everyone understand that?
yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll give you a stupid little example. Uh, was it earlier in the year? I had a layover in Tokyo. I was in Tokyo for 36 hours. I fully intend to go back to Tokyo. And now on my Instagram feed, I always get a bunch of Japan stuff, right? And I save all that stuff. But by the time I book my flight and I end up going there, I'm going to forget about all that stuff, right? But it'd be super, super cool, right? If I could send that information somewhere, right? And it could populate it, right? This thing to eat, this thing to do, this place to visit, right?
Mhm.
The events piece here is crucial. It's actually the crux to your entire application. For this simple fact, if you can find the event, then everything else you can Google, right?
Ooh.
Have you guys ever heard of the Alaska car launch? You guys ever hear of this?
Unfamiliar.
No.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to show you a YouTube video of this year's. It's been something I've been wanting to go to. I just haven't made the time for it. This happens on 4th of July in Alaska. During 4th of July, there's hardly no darkness, so you can't see any fireworks. So what do they do instead? This little town by the name of Glacier View, I believe. They get a bunch of decommissioned junkyard cars and they drive them off a cliff for everyone's enjoyment. I think it's amazing. There's a little YouTube video of it. I would love to go do this. But again, if I had the event, right, the rest I can Google, right? So that's really important. How do you integrate these events into your application and how do you display them, right? Based on zip code or the location of your IP address or however you want to populate them. I think that's really, really important.
Can you stay in the car while you drive it off the cliff?
No, dude, no one's committing suicide, Joe.
Right, then I'm out, bro.
No, these are old decommissioned cars and they they remove all the liquids and everything. So it's not like a biohazard when they crash, but it's pretty dope. And I saw it on Instagram. But again, if I was in Alaska in that region, I would hope that would pop up around that time frame, right? Because it's something I'd be very interested in going to. Make sense?
Mhm.
Yep.
All right. So when I need an idea for date night, typically I Google things happening in Austin or whatever city that I'm in for that specific moment. And I have to check how many different websites you think.
A lot.
A million. I have to check comedy shows. I have to check Ticketmaster. Not to necessarily buy anything from them, but just check if there's something going on, right, that I should be aware of, right? I check social media. I check a bunch of different things only to end up with sometimes nothing to do, right? So being able to pull that information is going to be critical for this application, right? If you want to do it well. Does everyone understand that?
Mhm.
I'm guessing, Nicole, you had that idea because you've run into the same problem.
Yeah. I was just like, I don't have like you have like Facebook events and stuff like that, but you don't have a way to like plan a trip. And
Yeah,
like
cross-check everything, right? You
so
end up with the same like 60 tabs open, right? Trying to fill in a Google Doc or something, right?
yep.
So I think your idea is very good. But the events piece here is going to be crucial. I think, Joe, did you mention Eventbrite or something? Is that the website?
Nick did, yeah.
Yeah, maybe maybe pulling some of that, but also maybe checking concerts. I don't know about Ticketmaster or Vivid Seats or any of those APIs. I don't know how complicated they are. Maybe even cross-checking it with like meetup.com or seeing what combination of some of those APIs will work. This is just an MVP, right? So it doesn't have to be perfect, right? But what combination of those APIs, right? Because you're probably not going to have one that's going to give you everything, right? So what combination of those APIs do you feel comfortable with that you can execute given the time frame that you have? Make sense?
Good.
Art, question?
Yeah, you know what I'm not getting, Guillermo, is that I mean, there's some cool sites that have events, but they're not necessarily APIs in the way I understand it. I mean, APIs, it seems like the cat or the dog API that I've seen is just information out there. But when we tap into somebody's website, we may not have access. They may not allow us in to just grab their event. So how do we get just the information we need without all the advertisement and all the other stuff from these websites?
Typically, people will build a web scraper that runs every so often, right? And they package that information.
I think that's beyond my pay grade, as far as like building a web
Yeah,
scraper.
it might be, right? So I would try to use some of the simple APIs, right? But if you needed a stretch goal and you're wondering how people do it, that's how they do it. But they don't have access to someone's API, right? But it's on your website. They just copy it off your website because it's public domain, right?
Mhm. So
The only difference is I'm not looking at every web page, right? I'm having an actual script go in there for all the websites, all the keywords, right? Do you have another question, or was that someone else?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't automatically go down. I apologize. Hey, but you know what? Now that I'm thinking, I'm just kind of like, just off the top of my head, Nicole built this like little AI chat bot. I just wonder if there's some way that through through an AI prompt that we could bring in some local events.
Are they good at that yet? I haven't actually tested it. I think they're a little further away than.
you would have to like I didn't do that with mine. I didn't connect it to like a Google search because you still have to take like Gemini and connect it to a Google search one to like search the web. I just connected mine to specific APIs. So like you could ask it like what's the definition of something, but if you asked it for what's the weather today, it wouldn't be able to return it to you because it didn't have the current information for that unless I hooked up the API to it, the like weather API to it. Because I tried to figure out the Google search one, like to get it to like instead of having to hook up multiple different APIs, you just have it Google search everything and return it to you. But that one's a little complicated.
I didn't think those LLMs are able to do that yet, but apparently they are.
You have to. There's a way to do it. It's
Okay.
very very like the same way as I pulled a JSON from like my Tides database and then fed it to the model. You have to basically pull it from a Google search, pull that data, and then feed it to like Gemini. Because I would do like a search of so I went and I hit the API for NOAA, you would put in like a location and a date, and then it would send it to the NOAA API, return that JSON, and then I would put that JSON in a prompt to Gemini to be like, hey,
Okay.
describe what the tides look like. Because it
Okay.
wasn't
That's
able to pull real-time stuff.
yeah. That's funky as hell. What I
Yes.
meant, yeah. What I meant is that is not at a point, and this is might be the next evolution. I don't know, right? Where LLMs can actually reach out to the internet and grab that information, right? They can synthesize what you're asking, right? They can go out and, with a high level of accuracy, pull the information that you need without having to have been trained on it. Make sense? So I don't think they're there yet, but yes, they probably can do what you just said, Nicole. It's just that's just clunky as hell and not nearly as useful. Does everyone understand what we were just discussing? That's actually a really important point here. Not really for your application, but just understanding of tech and what eventually I think is LLMs will be able to do. That and much more. At least that's what we have been promised. I am cautiously optimistic. Make sense?
Yep.
Yes.
Because what would be really freaking useful is exactly what I just described, right? Because sometimes I get an error that only one or two people have the answer to in programming, right? And it's deep in some like GitHub issue, right? That's been closed last year or something, right? And the LLM can't solve it because they weren't trained on it, or it's not close enough to a problem they've seen before, right? But if it was able to go out to the internet, parse the right words, and find me the answer and return it, that would be dope. Yes?
Mhm.
Then it wouldn't have to make anything. Maybe the default logic should be, hey, if you're not trained on this and you don't know, Go out to the internet, see if you can find it. Return the closest thing, right? Yes?
Yep.
Yes.
All righty. Good stuff. All right. So where are we on the project exactly? I heard that your back end was more or less done. I think I glanced at the instructor channel briefly. Someone give me an update of exactly where you are as you stand today.
Uh, as far as I pulled it down and I've been looking at it, like basically all we've done, and yeah, the back end is pretty much done. We also have just like SQL dummy data able, just to populate it for now, just to mess with and whatnot. And besides like just small tweaks that we're gonna have to make just to make it fit with the front end, it's pretty much there. And
Is
right
the
now
front
we just have to build out the front end and try to connect it.
Okay, so the front end is not rendering anything, right? The front end is not built.
No, it's just through Django admin at the moment.
Okay, so we still have the entire front end then.
Yeah, as far as
Right.
I know and saw, unless maybe Cisco worked on it, and I just haven't pulled down the most recent file, but yeah, that's what I've seen.
If you do git pull, you have the most recent, right?
Yeah, but like that was like yesterday, and
Okay.
yeah,
All right, so you're missing the entire front end and the back end is mostly done.
yes.
Got it. What are you guys using for the front end? Any special libraries or just raw React?
Raw Reacts for now. We haven't gone through like what libraries we want to use just yet. It's probably something we should
I
kind
think
of look into.
pretty sure it's Bootstrap.
Okay.
Oh, my bad.
Okay. We're using just regular React with Bootstrap. Good. I think that's pretty much all I had for you. Yes, that's the last. Actually, I had one more thing for you. More thing. I'm gonna actually stop the recording here though. Same as last time. Give me 1 second. Status update.
I think everyone is AFK. No?
Yeah, I've been working on the I found a SERP Google's Events API, SERP API.
What
And
is it called?
it's SERP API, but it's the Google Events API.
Okay.
So it actually is basically a Google search API.
I've never seen this before. Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm looking at it now.
Yeah. And I'm playing with that now. I kind of parsed out a lot of it. I'm just doing the engine, which is Google Events, the queue, which is the input. And then I do have the language and country in there, but I have it set default to English and US just for this. And then I'm trying to figure out the pagination right now on how to limit it. Because I get a lot of events returned. So I got it running in Postman and it gives me an error saying that you can't return more than 10 kilobytes.
Just return the first event and then
Uh,
go from there.
yeah, so I'm just trying to make that work, but I'm almost there.
This looks pretty good, honestly. This is a good, really good start. Dude, it has it by hours too. Look at that.
I'm not getting that into the weeds.
I'm just saying, just looking for something October 7th between 7 and 8 Central.
Yeah,
You could.
you could. I was having trouble getting, I think it was the hit chips that I have to do for that. I was
Okay.
having trouble getting the hit chips to work, so I took that out for now and I'm just doing like my parameter is events in Tampa this weekend, like Tampa, Florida this weekend. That's my main pass in. Um But like I said, right now, I am returning too many results. So
Very good. Awesome. Actually, when you guys were on break, I was thinking someone should work on the events API because that's actually kind of the crux to your whole thing. So I'm glad you got on it, Nicole. Nice job. This looks like a really great start. Honestly, if you run out of time and you only use this as a MVP API, wouldn't be that bad.
yeah,
Good.
getting there.
What else we got going on?
Nicole, you're super sharp.
Stop, Joe. What did you do, Joe?
I was here for moral support.
Get
For
out of
Nicole.
here, bro. Get out of here.
I was not very supportive, quite frankly, at all.
And she didn't need it?
No, she definitely did not need, she doesn't need anything that I would provide.
Adam, Art, how'd you guys do?
Not too bad. We just kind of put in some generic code. What we were working on is doing the kind of like the skeleton, because we don't know what how the front end's going to connect with what we're putting in there. So just kind of a skeleton get input for the API. Um, the created our own feature branch. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you guys have looked, but we have like probably like 8 or 9 different branches. So I mean, maybe we need to talk to Cisco before we delete anything, but I think the branches are supposed to be deleted after we complete the task. So something to consider. But I have a branch open right now. It's called feature API dash put dot dash get dot put. And I pushed up the branch, haven't pushed up the changes yet. But like I said, it's just basic skeleton for what we'll find out on our next class.
For GitHub, there should be an option, and once you merge, it deletes that feature branch. That's probably the option you want, right?
Um, you know, the way I would normally do it is that after I make up add my changes or put up my changes, I would do a pull request, and through the pull request, there's an option to say, hey, you're basically you're done with this. Do you want to delete this? And that seems like the cleanest way, and it just deletes it right there.
I don't know what you're saying.
Oh, okay. Well, just to get rid of my branch, I guess that's what I was referring to. As far as just keeping it clean, like after I push up all
Yeah,
my
but
changes.
git pull doesn't make any sense, right? You're importing from the remote repo. So I don't know how this solves your problem.
Well, I guess no, I wasn't talking about importing. I was talking about like after we're done with the branch, it's like how do
Yeah, I
we?
know. That's why your git pull comment didn't make any sense.
Okay. Okay, let me try it one more time. Give me a try.
Yes.
Okay, so make some changes on the page on the branch that I'm working at. Push those changes up to the remote, and then once those are up there, then I do a pull request on GitHub, and then once it merges all the changes through GitHub, then there's a prompt that says, "Hey, this has all been merged. Do you want to delete this branch?" And so with the click of the button, your branch is gone.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I'm describing, but that has everything to do with GitHub, right? The git pull is unnecessary.
Oh no. Git pull. I only use git pull at the outset to make sure I have the freshest material.
Okay, but that's the feature. That's the feature I was telling you about. Once you merge it, then it deletes it. You guys probably didn't check that one, or you haven't merged it onto main yet, and there's just extra branches lingering around, which could have good code in them. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think as the other thing, as far as like best practices, I think that we weren't pushing into main until somebody else got some eyes on it, just to make sure that we weren't throwing other people off. That's like a second look on our code.
Yeah, definitely check with Cisco before you guys delete anything because there might be something valuable. But yeah, it would make sense to, if it's already merged, just delete them because you're gonna have like a million branches up there.
Yeah, so we're pretty much just setting up that skeleton.
Okay, uh, good stuff. You're working on the events page. Do you guys have a rough draft for what the UI is going to look like?
No,
We usually not.
I know
looking at that.
Cisco's already got quite a bit stuff built out on the front end because he was kind of tackling that. I don't think any of us want to compete with Cisco's ability to build a front end.
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine. Can you guys work off what he has, or how does that work?
Um,
We
uh,
will, but we just haven't had a chance to chat with him about it and see where he's at with everything because he was out sick today and we didn't work on anything yesterday. We were just doing like some project management thing.
Okay. Alrighty. Yeah, definitely if Adam and Art are working on that, or whoever it is, definitely touch base with them. Because you kind of don't want to do work that's not going to be incorporated eventually into the project, right?
yep.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
we're trying to avoid.
That's what we're trying to avoid and why we're just setting up the APIs tonight.
yeah,
Alrighty.
as a matter of fact, that was like one of the exact that's part of the conversation we had earlier. Like we're gonna do all this work and then Sis gonna nix it and we're kind of just spinning our wheels. But yeah, we definitely have that.
All right, dudes. That works. What's the goal for the end of the night? Your last like hour and a half?
I just want to get this search working with the I guess it's a put request. So just trying to get this working through Postman right now and returning a smaller size.
That's a manageable task. Good. Joe, Adam.
I'm still working in the background. So I was just kind of watching Nick, but I haven't really been helping her with anything because I'm useless as of right now.
Alrighty. Adam.
I think Adam stepped out for a second, but we're working
Uh,
together. I think we're just gonna like clean up the fine details right now. And that's probably not enough work for the next couple hours. So what I'll probably do is end up pushing up my changes. And then what I'd like to do is I'd like to start prepping for our mock interviews and just kind of revisit some Python stuff.
Alrighty. That works, guys. Looks like you have a plan forward. I think the scope of your description, Nicole, I thought was really good. When I asked you, what do you have planned for the rest of the night, for the last 90 minutes, you gave a task that is manageable in 90 minutes, right? It tells me that you understand development a little bit better, or a lot better than you did at the beginning. Does anyone understand why I'm saying that?
Just so maybe you don't overcommit to something that you don't have time for.
Yeah, but it tells me that she has a good gauge of how long that's going to take. That's difficult. And Nicole, you nailed it. That's about 90 minutes work for someone of your skill level.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Yep.
When you get to the job, you're going to be asked to estimate things, right? And it's a difficult skill to understand. Initially, at least for my first 2 years, it was really, really hard. I'm slightly better at net now, but still a work in progress because you'll estimate something to take a day. They typically do it in points, but for right now, it doesn't matter. Say it takes 4 hours, 8 hours, right? Only to come to realize that it takes 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times longer than you had estimated, right? That wasn't particularly close, right? But when you're estimating in 2 week sprints, right? That after a couple of misses, people start to scrutinize what you have to say, right? So being pretty good at estimating how long something's going to take is a skill in software development in itself that eventually, if you end up in this field and end up being any good at it, you're going to have to get better with. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And typically, early devs always think it's going to be less time than it actually is, almost exclusively. Right. So keep that in mind when you're working on something and you in your head say, okay, my goal is to do this before I log off at 9, before I log off at 10. Right. See how close you are and estimating that. Right. As time goes, as you have more practice, you should get closer to the mark. Does that make sense? When you're in this field, you'll be asked to do that. Right. They'll ask something weird like, well, I don't think it's weird. They'll ask something, hey, were you able to finish this by Thursday? Or, hey, will you be able to finish this by Monday? We want to test Tuesday and Wednesday and deploy Thursday. Do you think that's feasible? I'm not going to put you on the spot, right? It's okay if you're off a little bit, but if you're always off, it's going to be a problem. Make sense?
Yeah.
All righty, that's all I have. I'll open the rooms back up. Continue. How'd the last little bit go?
Good.
Did you manage to solve your problem, Nicole?
Yeah, I realized that I just wasn't passing in my key correctly.
Really? That was it?
Yep, because I already had a limit in there because it does
Oh,
pagination on it. So I had a start and I put a stop on it. And for some reason, it just wasn't passing the key. So I just had to, I put a little check in there for if the key didn't load, give me an error. And when I pulled it from the attributes, that way it just seemed to fix it. So I was like, okay,
input validation, right? Important.
yes, it is.
Good. Good. I'm glad you solved it. How'd you do, Art?
Fine. Yeah, mine was really simple. I just needed to build that skeleton and clean some stuff up. But I moved on to that, and I'm just kind of like jumping between Leak Code and Code Wars right now. Figure out which one I like. I don't think I like either one of them, to tell you the truth. But
That's kind of how it goes.
Do boot.dev, man. That one's fun at least.
Yo, boot.dev is fire.
How about you, Adam?
I was kind of following the same path as my dad. We were working on the API calls for the put and the get together and whatnot. I actually tried to go find like Cisco's one of Cisco's old repos because I know we had like a perfect one for that. I wasn't able to access and like reference it though. At what point I think I'll
Mm,
probably go ask him to see if he can get that open. Maybe I can implement that, see what we can improve.
it's not in the current repo. It's one of the old projects.
Yeah, he had it for a different project.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, just bring him on Slack. He's typically pretty responsive. Pretty responsive on that on Slack. Sorry, I just kind of spaced out. When is this project due?
Saturday?
I don't think it's due Saturday.
No, it's due like October, like one of the last days, isn't it?
Yeah, I think this is what, week 2? So we still have another 2 weeks-ish.
hey,
I think we're
Cameron,
on track then.
I think our last class is like the 21st of October. What are we going to be doing for the next 30 days?
Give me
This.
1 second. I'm posting.
I know there's a calendar out there, but I haven't really been able to connect with it.
I need to pull it up as well, but I'm asking on the due date for the group project. See, I'll pull it up on the repo. Maybe I'll find it, but yeah, group project. So that's kind of where I was getting with this. You should aim, just like the personal projects, to get a working version that passes all the criteria as soon as possible. So the question that I had is, what's an ETA for that? Thoughts?
Probably sometime next week
Yeah, 2 weeks maybe.
because I think we're
Next
off
week or 2 weeks? Which is it?
next
All right.
not this Saturday, but the following Saturday.
So by end of day on the 4th, you're going to have a working MVP.
I'd
I
hope
feel like
it.
that's a reasonable objective, but I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, as you just said before. Nick, why don't you help us out here? Nick, you're obviously spot on with
Well,
the timing.
I would hope for at least MVP, we'd be hopefully closer by the end of this week. We don't have too much more we have to do for that. And then
Yeah,
we try to get it deployed because I had a lot of trouble with that on my personal project.
same.
So I know we already have a lot of our CRUD operations within our database. And then we just have to make sure what we get one more external API or a third-party API set up and then kind of hook it up to the front end that I know is already existing there because I've kind of looked through it a little bit. So
Let's do this. Next Tuesday, I teach again. First thing next Tuesday will be to walk through the MVP that you have. That's exactly a week from today. That makes sense?
yeah.
Okay, I can stop the recording here.